You thought you knew Tyler Perry, the genius filmmaker, the mastermind behind Medea, the billionaire who built a media empire from the ground up, the man who went from struggling playwright to Hollywood mogul, all while becoming a symbol of perseverance and success. But what if I told you the man celebrated on red carpets, the one we all admire, might be hiding something far darker than we ever imagined? And now, gospel legend Tamela Mann is breaking her silence, revealing truths that even she was once too afraid to say. What she's just shared could shatter everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's so-called hero. When we think of Tyler Perry, we think of the underdog who defied all odds, who created some of the most iconic black cinema of our time and built an empire that others only dream of. A visionary who turned pain into success and gave opportunities to those often overlooked by Hollywood. But behind the fame, the private jets, and the flashing lights of the red carpet, there's a storm quietly brewing. And it's not just idle gossip, it's coming straight from someone who's been in Perry's inner circle for years. Tamela Mann, a gospel legend and longtime collaborator with Tyler Perry, has now revealed the truth that has been kept behind closed doors for far too long. For years, fans speculated about the strange dynamics behind the scenes, odd interactions, sudden cast changes, rumors of silent feuds. But now, Tamela is finally pulling back the curtain on what she really witnessed while working under Perry's empire. Allegations of manipulation, emotional control, and disturbing behavior hidden behind the veil of Hollywood business. What Tamela has just shared suggests we've only seen one side of Tyler Perry, the side that's been carefully crafted for the public. And now, we're about to learn the truth. The real story is far more complicated than we ever imagined. And believe me, you won't believe Perry's purported actions to keep his secrets safe and who she claims attempted to quiet her. It becomes unsettling at this point. Stay tuned, because what you're about to learn could permanently alter your perception of one of Hollywood's most influential figures. Tyler Perry and Tamela Mann have been friends for more than 20 years. At least in the eyes of the public, their relationship appeared strong. In Perry's early-stage plays, she was one of the most identifiable characters, particularly in hits like Ma's Family Reunion and Meet the Browns. Fans loved their relationship at the time. Tama added a level of spiritual grace to Perry's productions with her unparalleled vocal anointing and deep gospel origins. And after years of personal adversity, Tyler hailed her in interviews as his go-to source for genuine soulfulness. It wasn't all harmony and hallelujah behind the scenes, though. Insiders close to the Mann family claimed that as Perry's notoriety increased, the connection soured. According to reports, Tama and her husband David Mann began to notice minor shifts in their treatment, unspoken expectations, greater limitations, and less creative input. They said that their faith-based boundaries were being questioned and that decisions were being made behind their backs. "We gave everything to those productions, but there came a point where we were being asked to compromise, and not in ways we were comfortable with," Tamela reportedly stated in a church panel interview that was secretly circulated but has since mysteriously disappeared from YouTube. According to sources close to the men, Tamela had repeatedly expressed concerns about content and character portrayals that went against her values, only to be told, "That's just how business works." Although she didn't specifically mention Perry in that panel, many assume she was referring to growing pressure to put up with inappropriate scripts, backstage politics, and spiritual unease. Tamela reportedly informed a friend in gospel media, "There's a spirit of control on that set." This subtly persistent pressure apparently started to have an emotional and spiritual impact on Tamela. If you don't want the role, someone else will. You feel as though you are unable to refuse, not without paying the price later. And what kind of price? Industry rumors state that Tamela was secretly barred from a number of Perry-led projects for almost 3 years after declining a specific TV series role that she believed to be too compromising. The true surprise is that, despite the quiet, Tyler Perry allegedly kept using her image, previous scenes, and advertising clips, even while she was being excluded from important projects. It was strange, but no public fallout was ever announced. The shocking part they don't want you to know is that in 2023, Tamela reportedly confronted Perry privately, and that encounter would change everything. The energy changed, and what was once a collaborative relationship became something much more sinister. Tamela's camp claims she was never even paid for some of the rerun rights or re-airings. After years of devotion, silent obedience, and spiritual turmoil, Tamela Mann apparently reached a breaking point in late 2022 and asked for a private meeting with Tyler Perry. What precisely transpired during that session? And why did Tamela believe it was time to finally speak up? According to sources close to Tamela, the meeting was held in a posh executive suite inside Perry's Atlanta-based production studio with the goals of clearing the air, addressing the widening gap, and above all, finally addressing what she perceived as intentional attempts to silence and control her within the entertainment machine she once helped build. At first, Perry reportedly kept things light, trying to downplay her concerns and shift the narrative towards business realities. However, Tamela, who was always calm and composed, came with receipts and brought up specific projects she'd been excluded from, decisions made without her knowledge, and most notably, the continued use of her likeness in promotional material despite her contractual absence. There were no cameras, no entourage, just Tamela, Tyler, and a very uncomfortable silence. An unidentified gospel business source, speaking to a tiny podcast under condition of anonymity, claimed that Perry's tone got chilly and defensive at that point, telling Tamela, "You knew what this was when you signed up. You gained visibility. You have your platform. You want to act like a new person now." However, it didn't end there. Tamela reportedly expressed concerns about some of the moral direction of recent scripts, suggesting that the content had shifted from redemptive storytelling to entertainment laced with confusion and darkness. That sentence struck her hard. What had once been presented as spiritual partnership now felt like emotional manipulation and control. The source claims that Perry retorted, "This is Hollywood, not Sunday service," in response to her concerns about the portrayal of Black women of faith and how the previously soul-centered message was being overshadowed by egotism and industrial avarice. Attend church if you wish to preach. Take a moment to process that. Being addressed in that manner clearly unsettled a woman who has carried the emotional burden of many of Perry's most compelling storylines, as well as the gospel. It wasn't simply the words, though. What really unsettled her inner circle was what transpired after the meeting. Tamela's planned appearance on a prominent daytime gospel talk program was abruptly postponed indefinitely just 1 week after the altercation. Simply removed from the lineup with no call or explanation. Perry's team reportedly stepped in due to scheduling issues and reputational concerns, according to a reliable source at the network. And there were other incidents as well. A few weeks later, a media source that was going to release a profile on Tamela inexplicably withdrew the story before it was published. Invitation lists started to lose her name. Booking requests dwindled. No one answered the phone. It seemed as though a covert blacklisting had started. One thing was happening even though it didn't reach the news. Tamela, who is renowned for her unwavering faith and quiet strength, chose not to publicly reply. However, she allegedly started recording everything in a written journal behind the scenes. The discussions, the postponed events, the covert threats. According to a family insider, she then decided that she would defend her voice if no one else would. She began contacting faith-based forums, which were purposefully smaller and more difficult to control, to offer little excerpts of her experience. She was always cautious not to give specific names, but instead left hints that the audience may follow. And people who were aware of it knew exactly who she was referring about. When the Tamela Mann started making public hints about her experience, the sector was hit like a ton of bricks. Her cautious but clear statements confirmed what many others had silently suffered but never dared to say out loud. Abruptly, she was no longer alone. One actress who has starred in several Tyler Perry productions between 2014 and 2019 was among the first to come forward, albeit quietly. She said this on her Instagram Live, although she didn't mention names. In secret, some people conjure demons, but on camera, they appear to be monarchs. I give thanks to God for individuals like Tamela who, despite having experienced the fire, continue to radiate light. Fans instantly recognized the person she was referring to after that live feed went popular in Black entertainment and niche gospel circles. In an effort to expose concerning patterns of behavior within the Perry production system, several former crew members started contacting independent websites and YouTube channels, some under aliases and others anonymously. According to a former assistant director, Perry's sets were emotionally and spiritually taxing, particularly during his fast-paced, 5-day TV show schedules. He claimed that moral limits were frequently expected to be compromised by faith-based actors, and that those who refused were either reassigned or discreetly dismissed. However, the most terrifying story was told by a teenage production assistant who worked on a 2021 pilot series that was never shown. In a since-deleted Reddit post, the assistant detailed a distressing outburst in which Perry allegedly yelled at a female actor for disobeying orders, followed by a private meeting that left her crying and supposedly resulted in her instant dismissal from the production. According to the assistant, "I don't know what was said, but I know what I saw." The woman entered with confidence and left with a broken heart. The following day, it seemed as though she had never been there. "There's a difference between strong leadership and spiritual intimidation," stated another backing vocalist from one of Perry's gospel specials in a podcast episode, this time without revealing their identity. "One gives you guidance, the other breaks your voice." According to reports, even Tamela's diplomatic and elegant husband, David Mann, declined multiple cameos in Perry's most recent productions. Close acquaintances claim that even though David was promised a sizable salary, he decided to support Tamela in silence by keeping his distance from the industry. Perhaps most significant of all, though, is the fact that many gospel musicians who used to enthusiastically perform at Tyler Perry galas and celebrations have either turned down invitations or switched their support to smaller, independent Christian platforms. It's a calm, dignified, yet impactful departure. It was best summed up by one gospel blogger. "Tamela's actions were courageous. She didn't yell, she didn't postpone. She just spoke enough and let the facts do the talking." Others are now also finding their voice. There is only an expanding web of testimony, pattern, and suffering, no huge lawsuit or eye-catching takedown, enough to provoke enquiries from even the most devoted followers. The rumors have been growing for months. Mysterious social media posts from former cast and crew, private Zoom meetings among industry veterans, and quiet phone conversations amongst gospel insiders. However, a number of publications now claim that what started out as Tamela Mann's personal testimony is becoming into something far more significant and possibly even legal. Allegedly, Tamela has been conferring behind the scenes with a group of dependable legal counsel and religious activists, not to file a lawsuit, at least not just yet, but to make sure that every word is safe, recorded, and unquestionable when not if she chooses to speak out in public and in its entirety. She is being urged to publish an open letter to the public, according to those close to her family. It is a brave and spiritually based statement that ultimately exposes the patterns of compulsion, deception, and alleged emotional manipulation she endured while working for Tyler Perry's empire, rather than a blatantly sensational expose. However, this is where things become more sinister. One anonymous gospel site claims that an email that was released earlier this year linked Tyler Perry's media team to an attempt to silence some voices in the business. The blog has since inexplicably gone offline. The email that contained the chilling statement, "We need to ensure that Mann's circle remains controlled. The last thing we need is her getting airtime to air spiritual grievances. Keep her off the record at all costs," which was allegedly sent from a PR coordinator to a high executive and shared privately among bloggers and podcasters. Even worse, that circle control may explain the series of mysterious cancellations, blocked interviews, and social media throttling that followed Tamela's early hints. If this email is genuine, as Babin and multiple sources say it is, it's much more than just a PR ploy. It suggests a purposeful and systematic attempt to silence Tamela before she ever had a chance to speak. But Tamela isn't shaken. Tamela has been recording everything, including dates, phone conversations, canceled contracts, and ignored emails, according to a close friend who made the revelation in an Instagram Live. Her objective is not retaliation, but accountability and spiritual clarity. She wants the record to show not only what was done, but also how it was done in the name of faith, trust, and God's purpose, as well as how far those ideals have strayed in the entertainment industry. Even more intriguing is the possibility that she is no longer acting alone. As other gospel celebrities, some of whom are still bound by non-disclosure agreements, are reportedly closely monitoring her actions and have even started discreetly assembling legal resources, prepared to assist her in the event that the pressure mounts. According to an anonymous gospel writer, if Tamela drops that statement, it's going to be the beginning of a major reckoning. There's more to this than Tyler Perry. Here's the cliffhanger that has fans on edge. A faith-based radio host recently disclosed that Tama has already recorded a full sit-down interview with a reputable gospel journalist, which reportedly goes into more detail than she has ever done before. This is about how spiritual artists are used and discarded when they no longer comply. As the controversy surrounding Tyler Perry continues to spiral, what once seemed unshakable, his image as a spiritual success story, a Hollywood underdog, and a man of faith, is now under critical scrutiny. The interview is being held back until legal clearance is given. Some say it could be released within weeks. Others say it is being timed to coincide with an upcoming award show where Perry is set to receive a Lifetime Achievement honor. This is a bold move to force truth into a spotlight that has been too comfortable for too long. The entertainment industry is no stranger to scandal, but this one is different because it's not just about contracts, money, or career moves. It's about faith, spiritual abuse, and how Black voices rooted in gospel and truth are exploited in the name of fame only to be silenced when they choose integrity over compliance. It stems from the quiet strength of one woman, a Tamela Mann, who decided enough was enough. Fans who followed her journey and those who know her know that when she talks, it's because something more serious is at stake. And now her bravery is igniting a chain reaction. The Tamela Mann's voice has never been loud in the tabloid sense. She's not the type to air dirty laundry. The entertainment industry centered around Tyler Perry's empire may not be as spiritually sound as many thought. And in recent weeks, a number of insiders, including Christian producers, former collaborators of Perry, and even some longtime gospel label partners have quietly begun to reevaluate their relationships. The public is watching, comments are flooding in, forums are ablaze, and Tyler Perry's once holy image is displaying obvious cracks, all while his team has yet to issue a formal statement addressing the Tamela situation. Why is this important? Because Tyler Perry stood on stages and quoted scripture for years. Tamela's story is not just hers, it is the story of every Christian performer, faith-based actor, and gospel artist who has been told to keep quiet, smile, and accept what is given to them, even when it goes against their calling. He praised the Lord while creating a billion-dollar brand, saying his success was a testimony. But what happens when that testimony means silencing others? And now the silence is ending. According to a source close to the man's family, Tamela is getting ready to release a final formal statement this fall, possibly in video format, in which names will be mentioned, specific incidents will be addressed, and a call for spiritual accountability within the Christian entertainment industry as a whole, not to destroy, but to rebuild with truth. Tamela Mann's journey is far from over, but it's no longer a silent one. The implications could be enormous. Industry contracts could be scrutinized. Gospel institutions could be pressured to take sides. Award shows might subtly shift focus. And most importantly, the public will start asking hard questions. Is Tyler Perry really the man he claims to be? Or has the world confused charisma with character? We may never know every detail, but we do know that the gospel is truthful and that truth triumphs when people of faith speak up, even at great personal cost. She has lit a match in a very dark room. And more people are now awakening to what's really been happening behind the curtain of faith-based entertainment. It's too late, regardless of Tyler Perry's response or the industry's attempts to hide this or turn it into PR damage management. The public is watching. The truth is coming, and no empire is too powerful to crumble when it's founded on silence.